Good afternoon, David. My name is Amaka, and I'll be advising you on your possible claim against DTL. I've looked over your case, and I can see that you've been working for DTL for the past 7 months as a senior sales tour operator. I can also see that you manage a team of three, David, and you report to one of the three female directors, of whom is Melissa. You've told me that your working relationship with Melissa has been quite difficult as she's made advances towards you that make you feel very uncomfortable. You've explained to me that she often puts her arms around your shoulders, that she's brushed up upon you. She asks you to stay late and that to deal with client orders, and that she invited you out to dinner in which you rejected on the grounds that you have a girlfriend. You explained to me that all these actions that she's displayed towards you have made the other managers quite hostile towards you. And you've explained to me as well that since the rejection, Melissa's been quite hostile towards you, that she's been making crude jokes about men and has on occasion made comments about men as well. You also explained to me that there was an event for the whole workforce to attend, and an emergency client order came in which Melissa asked you to stay behind and deal with. And you explained to her that you would usually appoint one of your team members to deal with this. However, she said that if you do not stay behind and deal with it, you would be facing dismissal. I can understand as well, David, that since this has happened, you've been feeling depressed, you've not been able to eat, and you're not sleeping well, and you've taken some days off sick. I know as well that the GP has given you some antidepressants for this. And you've explained to me that the other directors are very unaware of what's going on between you and Melissa, and have asked why you were not in attendance at the event. You also explained to me, David, as well that you don't have a lot of funds and you would like to keep your job at DTL and would like advice in this area also. Well, David, based on these facts, I believe that we have a claim for sexual harassment under discrimination law. Firstly, David, we would need to establish whether you have been discriminated against because of a protected characteristic. When I say protected characteristic, I mean a trait that you have that would cause an employer not to promote you or progress you in a job or employ you. And that's because of this protected characteristic. So this could be anything like your race, your gender or sex, we would class that as, or even your age. And under these circumstances, I do believe that you have been discriminated against because of your sex. So this will be called sexual discrimination. And under sexual discrimination, it's basically where you have been subjected to comments or sexual comments or of a sexual nature or sexual behavior regarding sex in which you find offensive. So sex discrimination can happen in many ways, and one of which is sexual harassment. And this is what I believe DTL are responsible for as Melissa's employer. Sexual harassment, David, is any unwanted conduct of a sexual nature that has the effect of violating your dignity or creating a hostile, degrading environment for you. However, to establish whether the conduct has this effect, we have to take into consideration three factors. Firstly, your perception on how the event made you feel. So I can see that you stated that the environment has been hostile between you and the other co-workers, and you have also told me you feel embarrassed. Secondly, we look at the other circumstances of the case. So these would be the advances that she's made towards you. So, for example, brushing up against you, putting her arms around you, and calling you her handsome star performer. All uh, these are all ways that suggest that this could be intimidating for yourself and also humiliating, and it also violates your dignity, as once again your co-workers have become more hostile towards you. Finally, we ask whether it's reasonable for this conduct to have this effect, and I believe it will be fair to say yes, based on all the facts that I've just stated. Next, I can see that since the rejection of the dinner invite, Melissa's become quite hostile towards you. The main issue is the fact that you were not able to attend the big workplace event, where your clients were in attendance. So just explain what rejection is under sex discrimination. This is where you are treated less favorably than another member of staff because you have rejected unwanted conduct of a sexual nature. You explain to Melissa that you usually appoint one of your team members to deal with the emergency cells. However, she threatened you with dismissal. This is a form of rejection, David. We then go on to look at who the burden of proof rests upon. And initially, David, it would be you to prove all facts. Then it will be passed to DTL. So let's talk about your claim. The best way to tackle this will be to bring a claim against DTL. As I mentioned, if you want to take this to tribunal, you have 3 months less 1 day in which to do so from the date of the last event. From the date that the last event occurred. Before you get to a tribunal, you would need to use an ACAS procedure. They're a free independent advisory service who will sit down with the both of you and try to come to a resolution. You would need to fill out a mandatory ACAS reconciliation. You would need to fill out a mandatory ACAS conciliation form, and I would, however, suggest raising a grievance at first instance. I do believe that this will be the best for you to have a conversation with the other directors and make them aware of Melissa's behaviour towards you. This way there will be no animosity between you and the staff at DTL. During the claim, we may come across some evidential issues. Firstly, Melissa may rebut the claim that she made any comments about men and that they weren't aimed at, and if she did, that they weren't aimed at you. She may also rebut that she made any crude jokes as well about men. And however, if you do have any evidence or any witnesses as a testament, it would be great if you could get them together to prove this. Secondly, we stated that DTL can be held liable for Melissa's behaviour. However, they could defend themselves by stating that they have adequately trained their staff in all areas of discrimination and have gone above and beyond to prevent it from happening. Thirdly, in terms of asking you to stay back and deal with the emergency client order, she could also rebut this and state that she felt that you were the best for the job and that's why she asked you to stay. If you are successful, David, there are 1 or 3 remedies that are available to you. You could claim compensation for injury to feelings. So I understand that you have suffered from depression because of this. I believe that you have a strong case to be awarded some money. Also, you have evidence of this. Since you want to continue working for DTL, I would suggest that you go with an apology from Melissa and from DTL in order to keep the working relationship strong. I do think as well, you also mentioned that there is another office opening in Durham headed by a man. It might be a suggestion to go and work there as well. So I think it would be nice to end this conversation with just a run through of the likelihood of the success of your claim. And I do think you have a strong claim and you could win against DTL. I hope I was able to answer all your questions, David. Do not hesitate to contact me if you need any further assistance. Bye.